Hello everyone and welcome back to Serious Sunday. My name is Luke and this is the show where I talk about video games and things. And today's news is actually a little bit personal in a roundabout way. A fair amount of this is already covered by much more well-known YouTubers than I, like Total Biscuit and Jim Sterling, but I wanted to touch a little bit today on the controversy that is the musician Alex Mauer versus the indie game industry and how that's been affecting me. If you're a regular visitor to Level 0 NPCs and watch a wider range of our content than Serious Sunday and Thursdev, you'll probably be aware that every Tuesday we air an episode playing River City Ransom Underground. You'll also notice that the River City Ransom Underground videos on our channel are conspicuously missing as of this video's airing. There's a reason for this. In the wee hours on the morning on Friday, July 7th, we were hit with a Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA, takedown notice on episode 3 of our River City Ransom series, whose video you will be seeing in the background here. I was doing some regular upkeep on the channel and found myself locked out of my own channel until I went through YouTube's copyright bootcamp. Needless to say, this came as something of a surprise, as I can usually anticipate when something might be on shaky grounds in the copyright area, such as the opening theme to Just Cause 3, which has a copyright claim by the owners of the Firestarter cover that plays during the intro. After we received that notice back in February of 2016, I've made it a point to be fairly diligent about researching before we start a series, and the policies of a game's publisher regarding the airing of YouTube videos of their content. This is why you'll rarely see Nintendo content, despite both Matt and I being in general fans of their games. Don't let my frequent negativity about their business decisions make you think that I don't appreciate their contributions to gaming, or that I feel like the games they release aren't frequently fantastic. And this is also why you'll probably not see very much Sega, and never likely see Telltale or Quantic Dreams games here. My diligence in keeping up to date with video policies was the reason for my largest surprise though, as to my knowledge, Conatus Creative Inc., or Conatus perhaps, the company that developed and published River City Ransom Underground, not only allows, but encourages video content. A fairly common tack to take as a small company, as it's free publicity, and just in general as a game creator, we like to see the positive half of our fan base from time to time. I checked the information surrounding this particular takedown notice and was informed that the copyright infringement was claimed by someone named Alex Mauer, a name that I wasn't personally familiar with. So I did some research, and I found myself climbing down a fairly convoluted rabbit hole in which a large number of YouTubers of all shapes and sizes are under attack, essentially, for something that in some cases they're only tenuously, even tangentially related to. Allow me to elaborate. Rewind about 3 weeks to a conflict between the previously stated Alex Mauer and one Imagos Software, developer and independent publisher of a game called Starr Mazer DSP. Mauer was commissioned on a work-for-hire basis, according to excerpts from a contract provided by YouTuber Sid Alpha, who originally broke the news about this whole thing, to score the background music for Starr Mazer, another project by Imagos. Imagos' use of the music composed by Mauer in their sequel project, Starr Mazer DSP, apparently started the ball rolling on this, as Mauer believed that using her music in a separate game project was a violation of their contract, and also that there was outstanding failure to pay contracted fees by Imagos, due to, according to Imagos, Mauer leaving the project prematurely, thereby leaving Imagos only needing to pay for work rendered, as well as some additional good faith payment for work not received. The latter is difficult to prove one way or another at the moment, as of yet, only limited information is publicly available, so I'll focus on the former point. This is apparently a work-for-hire engagement, and according to statutory law, such contracted work would be implicitly owned by the commissioner of the work, unless the contract explicitly states otherwise. This is a very common form of contract that's executed within the game development industry, as having the rights to different portions of your game owned by different people can lead to some fairly sticky situations, not the least of which being a situation not unlike what's happening between Mauer and Imagos. I've been on either side of contracts of this sort over the course of my career, and in some cases limited provisions are made to allow for the use by the original creator or whatever else. all above board at this point. Unfortunately, Mauer didn't seem to agree with this convention and has declared war against Imagos over the rights to the soundtrack in a fairly unconventional but definitely destructive manner, through punishing content creators on YouTube and Twitch that air video containing any music she wrote, claiming copyright infringement, and using the Digital Millennium Copyright Act as a sledgehammer, filing claims against any and every video apparently that she could find that contained music that she wrote. This has ultimately led to some very bad blood between the two parties, and also between her and a large number of affected streamers and YouTubers. To get even a small taste of the whole situation, just Google Alex Mauer DMCA and let the tidal wave wash over you. I'd personally suggest Total Biscuit's video on the matter, as I prefer his more level-headed approach, but there's plenty to see and digest from multiple sources. These DMCA takedowns have come fast and furious, and the damage is already fairly large. This would be a worrisome story under any context, but you might have noticed one fairly important detail here. We haven't done a single video about Starr Mazer. I received my takedown on a River City Ransom Underground video. That took me a few minutes to figure out, but apparently Mauer was one of the composers for its soundtrack as well. The Lexi in Lexi and the Cheap Disaster, if you found the soundtrack. The other two being Cheap Dinosaurs, a band unto themselves, and Matt Disasterpiece Vreeland. So, Mauer apparently considers the soundtrack to River City Ransom Underground her property, and has begun issuing DMCA takedowns to River City Ransom videos, as well as other games she's worked on, including Death Road to Canada. Mauer's beef with Imagos has turned into all-out war for her musical copyrights on seemingly every indie game she's been involved with, and she's employing the same tactic to punish them. DMCA takedowns on any video containing any music or sound effects that she was involved in creating. And that's where this channel comes in. We are one of said YouTube channels hit with a DMCA takedown and was issued a copyright strike by YouTube. DMCA notices are serious business, and as a YouTuber, copyright strikes are also no joke. 3 strikes and this channel would be gone, and YouTube would likely do little to nothing to help. Unfortunately, that means that in order to protect the channel, I've been put in the position where it behooves me to at least temporarily remove any River City Ransom Underground content from my channel that contains audio. I contacted Canada's Creative, RCRU's developer and publisher, to inform them of the situation and ask for confirmation of whether it was contractually fine for me to continue making videos, which they have responded to, and I wish the best of luck for them in dealing with the threat to their business. Yesterday evening, I found that the DMCA notice had been lifted, but a glance at Mauer's Twitter account shows that it was most likely manually retracted in an attempt to stop the bullying that they have been receiving from the community at large in response to her actions. But that due to continued, if not increased bullying, she'll be starting to issue DMCA notices once again. To that, I'm forced to put our River City Ransom Underground series on hold until this is all resolved. Sadly, this does mean that after a fashion, I'm doing exactly what she wants for the selfish reason of protecting my channel. This whole situation, to put it simply, sucks. It's unfortunate that there's any question of contracts or IP ownership. It sucks that someone who appears to be a very talented musician has taken the law into her own hands, so to speak, and decided that the proper recourse isn't to discuss the matter in court with Imagos, and if necessary Canada's and any other parties, but to threaten the very livelihood of the content creators and the game developers that ultimately were putting food on her table. It's also unfortunate that this will probably seriously color her reputation going forward, as it would be too much of a liability as a developer to work with her, making her career as a soundtrack composer very likely over. And the DMCA notices, if it's found that the IP is owned entirely by the developers, would amount to fraud. And it's awful that even in light of all the misguided things that she's doing, there are people on the internet that are, with the veil of internet anonymity, choosing not to take the high road by supporting those affected, and instead bullying her, which they absolutely are. My support goes to Imagos, Canada's, Rocket Cat, and any other studios that she's begun attacking, and to any YouTubers that have been hit harder than us. None of this is very cool. But that's my update on the situation and my understanding of it as it stands. I hope that by next week this will have blown over and we'll be able to get back to the status quo, but at the moment, I'm going to be leaving our Tuesday slot open where those River City Ransom Underground videos should be until this is over. I apologize for the inconvenience there for anyone that will be missing our content during that slot, and if we can make River City Ransom videos again, I'll post an extra long one to compensate for lost time when the time does come. But for now, that's me. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you have a great rest of your Sunday, serious or otherwise, and that I'll see you around here again soon. Take care.